You are listening to Happy Jack's RPG Podcast. Pursuing the RPG hobby with reckless abandon.
Why, hello, and welcome to Season 27, Episode 7 of Happy Jack's RPG Podcast. My name is Stu.
I'm Tyler.
Stork.
And Tyler's back. After
I know.
It's been, how long has it been since you've been on? It's been, obviously, years.
I left LA in 2015, so... Oh, I was on for the con podcast last year.
Oh, that's okay. So it hasn't been that long.
So less than a year.
All right.
Just barely less than a year.
All right. In this episode, Erica Odd writes in about smart players playing dumb characters and vice versa. Kairaku sends us a well actually for Stork. And Just Another Busy Drone sends some upsides to virtual gaming. But first, if you'd like to email us, you can email us at happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. That's happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. We're on the social medias, happyjacksrpg, all one word, on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and MeWe. And if you'd like to watch the show live, we stream it at 7:05 p.m. Pacific time at happyjacks.org/live. So what have you been doing for gaming, Tyler?
5e. Like, nothing but 5e.
Yeah.
Really?
It's so tough. Yeah, it's... well, I'm the only one up here that really is running from my group. There's some people that I used to game with up here that I gamed with a little bit, but it was 5e. It's just been kind of rough. Especially now with COVID, you can't, find new gaming groups to go join without doing it online, and I kind of hate online gaming.
So you're playing in person?
What's that?
You're playing in person? Or are you playing?
No, we're playing online.
Oh, okay.
And it took a while for us to get used to something. I had like a document camera set up over a mat that I was using for combat, and then finally I caved and we started using Roll20, which is it's great for what it does, but it's not what I want to be doing for gaming.
Now it seems to me the last time I used one of those tools, that was a long time ago. It seems to me there's a lot of like front-loading work to get.
There definitely is.
Okay.
If you want to run like full combats in them, there's a lot of work. There's a lot of learning to be done with it. Engie actually, I think, did a video series on YouTube for it.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
I'll look it up and I'll give it.
Well, and you've done IT work too, so you're no slouch when it comes to dealing with computers and stuff. Did you find it difficult at all?
Yeah, actually I did, because I didn't spend a lot of time trying to learn it. I just assumed it would be easy. So I was like, well, this is garbage, I'm never going to use it. But
I think that's very telling. I guess if you follow the directions, like anything, it might be easy, but you were like, I know IT, I can make this work, and it was hard.
There's a ton of tutorials. Like there's so many people who've done video tutorials on using Roll20 and Fantasy Grounds, but those are so boring for me. like I don't care if I'm learning. I don't want to watch this. I'll just figure it out.
I just want to play the game. I don't want to sit around and watch you tell me how to play the game. Yeah.
I still don't know how to do dynamic lighting for my players, so I have to reveal the map by hand. Even though there are clearly features that let me get around that, so I'm working on it. I'm learning.
I would assume that it's kind of the same as like somebody using Pro Tools to record a podcast and somebody using Pro Tools to orchestrate a symphony. You can use it, but it's and it will work for both. But the guy that's doing the symphony knows all of the bells and whistles, like Stu.
Oh well,
there's a ton of little tricks that make the game amazing.
Yeah.
Versus making it passable.
It sounds like it's a really powerful program, but as with powerful programs, you've got to really invest the time in it. Whether it's doing the homework ahead of time or just having somebody or just doing it a lot, But yeah, even Pro Tools, I think, I don't want to speak for Stu, but even Pro Tools, you got to watch some stuff and people have to point stuff out to you because a lot of it's not intuitive.
Oh, there's definitely some manual reading with that shit. The I wonder, have you ever used, what is it, Campaign Cartographer? You ever use that?
The map making tool?
Yeah. I I bought a license for it years ago, and every so often I'll open it up and use it. That shit's esoteric. It's really hard to figure out.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of thing where you have to go and watch boring YouTube videos of people. How do I highlight the coastline? You know, that kind of shit.
Well, even Photoshop back in the day was the same thing, as it was sort of designed by programmers and not artists, and so it has all these terms in there. You're like, I don't know what a masking is or the gamma slider, all of this junk. And eventually they went and completely revamped it and had artists make comments on it. Which isn't to say that artists couldn't use it, but it just really wasn't very intuitive. The language between art and tech wasn't fully developed when it came out. Because remember, Photoshop's been out a really long time.
Oh, yeah.
And it's been through a lot of iterations, but when the first 5, 6, 7 iterations, it was really just complicated and pissed a lot of people off, myself included.
All right. You want to, since you're returned from a long absence, you want to read the first email there, Tyler?
Sure. The one from
Erica Odd.
Erica Odd.
Tyler's so quiet and mellow. I'm just not used to it.
Edibles. I barely drink anymore.
It's all edibles now?
Well, so Tim, you guys know Tim, a few months ago decided that he just wanted to get me absolutely just wrecked, and that was like the last time I drank. I went out with him and my buddy Dan, the guy who stabbed the goblin through the back of the head, and I didn't have a moment where I didn't have a drink in one and or both hands. And that was the last time I drank.
I think Tim tried to do that with me once too. That man can drink,
Yes,
and he's like half my height, and boy, can he put it away. It's like a superpower.
I don't really drink it.
Hey, Stork, can you turn your mic down a little more, please?
Yeah.
All right. The Snart playing the dumb and the dumb playing the smart from Erica Odd. Hello, Happy Jacks. I heard you were low on email, so here's one for you. It's another in the Erica Odd series of rule interpretation and role-playing versus role-playing. That's great on podcast. Role-playing versus role-playing.
I usually spell out the
ROLE versus ROLL playing.
There you go.
This one involves character versus player intelligence. Suppose we have some characters in a dungeon. So we'll concern ourselves in this discussion with only 2. Bruticus the fighter with a 7 intelligence. Me fighter, me kill. Played by E. Brinkley Smarty Pants with a PhD. The other character is Smarticus the wizard with a 20 intelligence, played by Yokel J. Bumble-Pants, who'd have trouble pouring pee out of a boot with instructions on the heel. They come across a complex riddle and the players bend their wits to solving it. Brinkley gets it right away but says nothing because it's what my character would do. Besides, with a measly 7 intelligence, he'd never realistically figure it out, right? Yokel, on the other hand, has no clue at all. His character is only smart because it gives him better spells, right?
Right.
So there's the dilemma. One of your brilliant players, albeit playing a dumb character, has solved the riddle. What do? I see 4 options. There may be more, but I don't want this letter to be 8 pages long. 1. Bruticus player, as annoying as the "it's what my character would do" argument can be, is role-playing. He's avoiding metagaming. Let it stand, and if the other players can't figure it out, they'll have to find some other way to solve it. 2. Let the players make intelligence checks. This is role, ROLL, playing, but does give Smarticus a chance at solving a problem his player can't. 3. Ensure Bruticus player that it wouldn't be metagaming to have him figure it out. This brings to mind the Gates of Moria. The ancient and wise literal demigod wizard Gandalf spent nearly a day on spells and incantations to open the door. Frodo, with some small knowledge of history and inquisitive nature, solved the riddle with a simple observation on grammar. This could lead to funny RP as the other players are confounded by the apparent reversal. As I see it, this is role, ROLE, playing and not metagaming at all. 4. The fourth and often not considered option is to have the smart player reveal the answer, but in the narrative, in character, it was the smart character that actually solved it. That way the other players know who really got the riddle while it maintains the super smart reputation of the smart character in-game. What are your thoughts? Advice, comments, rude suggestions? Anyway, that's it for this one. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. Drink if you're so inclined. Thanks, Erica Odd.
I think I only like the third one.
Really?
Yeah.
It's kind of a common dilemma, whether it's intelligence or charisma checks or performance checks or something, or it comes up a lot in various ways. And if somebody's really into role playing, it can be a real sticking point. I mean, Tappy talks often, and I use the example as well, about he used to play with a stand-up comic who was witty and clever and funny, and so whenever they tried to talk their way past, and as a GM, all of his NPCs were witty, funny, and quick. So when they tried to talk their way past like a guard at the gate, they were witty, funny, and quick, and they couldn't get past it. It was like, just because you're a stand-up comic doesn't mean my character can't talk his way past the city guard.
Right,
Damn
just
it.
because you're a stand-up comic doesn't mean every NPC has to be.
Yeah.
That's tough. I say but somewhere between 2 and 3. Because, you don't make your bard characters pull out a guitar and make up a song every time they use their abilities. You don't make your character playing the barbarian actually smash doors down to represent his character doing it. So the smart character, the person playing the smart character, should have some kind of mechanical way, if the game requires a mechanics for intelligence, to get around that.
But
Yeah.
We played these games because to be things we're not, and that's just a really difficult one to do.
Do me a favor, Tyler. Can you turn your gain up on your mic at all? Do you have any room?
No,
Stork,
I
can you
just
turn
pull
it?
the mic closer to my face.
Okay, that'll help. I just want to try. I'm trying to equalize the two of you because Stork's still a little loud.
All right, I'll turn down.
The thing is, I agree with you that the players are not their characters, and that's why there are game mechanics. But if you come up with a puzzle, you come up with a puzzle for the players to solve, don't you? Isn't that the idea? Why wouldn't you just say, there's a puzzle. It's a DC 20 puzzle. Solve
Right.
it. You know what I mean? If you're actually coming up with a puzzle, it's for the players. Isn't it?
I've actually encountered this in game with the GM, where we had characters that were significantly smarter than us as players. So the GM would let us make intelligence checks or skill checks for help with the puzzle.
Oh,
He
like
would give a
clues or
clue.
something? Okay.
The higher your intelligence, the easier the roll was to get a clue from the GM, and he would just give it to that player secretly.
Okay.
So the players still had to figure it out, but there was a way to use your high stats to your advantage.
I like that better. That's more kind of like a hybrid.
Yeah.
I think that would work better for me. I played a character once. It was in a fantasy, GURPS fantasy, back in college. Or was it right out of college? And I got a potion. My character was a mage. And this character went all the way back like 5 years earlier when we made ourselves as GURPS characters, and then this big calamity happened, and it was this post-apocalyptic fantasy thing, and I ended up being an earth mage. So the character was supposed to be me. And I drank this potion, and it doubled my intelligence stat. So my intelligence went from like 13 or whatever it was to 26, which would be astronomically high. I had a lot of trouble even coming up with how I could use that level of intelligence. Because one of the things that I tried was, well, if I'm that smart, maybe I can, because we were sitting over, there was a pit, and we couldn't see the bottom of it, and we wanted to know how deep it was. So I tried clapping my hands and listening for the echo and seeing if I could calculate what the distance was. And he's like, I don't know if you could do that. I'm like, all right, then I have no idea what to do. I'm very, very,
I think
very
you could
smart.
with a 26 intelligence.
I would think so.
Right?
Smarter than the smartest human
Yeah.
on the planet.
Yeah. In the realm.
Right. But it was a challenge to try to figure out how to... And I think in a situation like that, that's kind of a temporary thing. That was a spell that lasted like an hour or a couple hours or something. And it's in a situation like that, I think that really would be up to the GM to sort of help the player realize things that are happening that you normally wouldn't. So I think just like the clue thing, I think the GM has to help with that kind of thing. It seems like.
Yes, and something like a riddle that you're presenting to them, I think all the players have an equal chance of just sort of guessing it, because you are presenting it to the players as sort of like, here's an actual riddle that you need to solve. And it kind of transcends your characters. If it's like a logic puzzle or something, maybe that's maybe written down, or I don't, that specific for an intelligent person, maybe they just get it, or they get to roll for it. It kind of transcends that point, because you're no longer your characters anymore. Now there's a physical prop in the real world that you as a person are having to interact with, and it does. There's an intersect between the role-playing game and the actual people trying to deal with an actual problem. You know what I mean? It becomes a real-world problem and not just a game problem.
Ed from Minnesota says something that I actually thought too is
the
hard part of real puzzles is there's only one solution. And that is like kind of counter to what the way I GM is. The way I GM is like, say, here's a problem. I don't even bother figuring out a solution. Like 90% of the time, I have no idea how the players are going to solve any given problem.
Well, I mean, the way you could look at it, the solving the puzzle may be one solution to the obstacle you're trying to get past.
Mm-hmm.
There still could be other ways around that don't have to do with the puzzle. Maybe it's some sort of giant mechanism, and instead of trying to solve it, you say, well, let's see, where would you put the gears that would, it could be an engineering problem rather than a puzzle-solving problem. You know what I mean?
Or Bruticus could just smash his way through everything.
Exactly, right. He could just break the puzzle.
Isn't that what Marco Polo did with the monkey fist knot? They were like, it's just knot. If you can untie it, then you get all the treasure, and he took his knife and cut it.
Stork, can you turn your mic down some more? It's still, I can't get a balance.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Okay. Thank you. Any more on this, or we can move on to the next one?
Move on.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Erica Odd. And
I do like 3 though. Let the dumb character who the player figured out do it. It's fun.
It is.
And that's a story that's going to be remembered at the table.
Yep. Remember when Bordeaux the dumbass? Yeah. All right. A well actually. Should I read this since it's a well actually for you?
Sure. If you feel so inclined.
A well actually from Kairaku. Hey Jackers. Forsooth, how dare you discourage people from playing BattleTech online? Starting is too difficult? Ha! And harumph, I say to you, sir.
Let me give this a little context here. We were talking about using online like Roll20 or Battlegrounds or something to game with, and I said, as long as it doesn't involve a lot of miniatures, because that seems like a lot of work. So this is him responding to my my comment about using Roll20 and miniatures.
Okay. I run a weekly BattleTech role-playing game online on Tabletop Simulator. Everything is there and already built for you. 3D models, terrain hexes, entire maps, mech sheets, cheat sheets, dice rollers. The whole shooting match is already there. In fact, I have found this easier than playing at the real table. I can see that with something like this. Yeah. And for those more tactical type games, or for these more tactical type games, I would definitely recommend it. I also use Tabletop Simulator, which I guess goes by TTS, even though it should just be TS, because tabletop's one word, very effectively for playing Forbidden Lands. I use it to play with my kids. Excuse me. Sorry, Canada. They are in the room, and we put Tabletop Simulator on the big screen, and I use my laptop just like I used to use a GM screen. I have even used it to create a deck, with Kimmy's permission, of course, and it is very effective for that too. As others have said, start light on features and work your way up to the full suite. But don't let curmudgeons like Stork deter you. If you need help to get started, then look me up on the forums or Discord. Drink or not. Kairaku. Everywhere.
And again, this pertains to what Tyler was saying earlier about the learning Roll20 and the learning curve involved with that stuff. And it sounds like this is a great program for dealing with miniatures. I think that personally, if I'm trying to deal with a role-playing game and shuffling through all my papers and all the characters, having a miniature map on top of it will just make my head explode. But again, if I use Roll20 for 10 years, maybe it'll just be easy. But right out of the chute, no. I can barely keep track of miniatures on a tabletop, physically. Knocking them over. They're in the wrong place. I forget to move them. I have to ask how far each character moves because I forgot.
I do have to say, well, we'll get to that later. Never mind. Because that's foreshadowing the next email.
So recently I started playing a new game. maybe not necessarily a new game. It's called Gaslands, and it is. Do you ever play Car Wars?
Oh yeah.
It's Gaslands. It's Car Wars, but with miniatures, with Hot Wheels miniatures.
Oh no shit.
It uses the Hot Wheels scale. There's movement templates. It's super fun. I bought the game, and like 2 weeks later, I had over 100 Hot Wheels cars.
You going for the vintage? Because those are going to run into money.
God, no.
Was
I go to Target and get them for 99 cents each.
Or
if I'm feeling spicy, Walmart for 94 cents.
Is this is it like a board game, or is it a?
Well, it's just a miniatures racing combat game. And it plays on a 4x4 mat. And once the shelter in place started happening, I set up a camera, pointed down at my table, and set up a table, and was playing online with people over Zoom. Where basically, instead of everybody bringing their cars, we used all of my stuff, and then just played that way.
That's awesome. It's been super fun. I keep meaning to do more. Oh, it looks like it's gonna. You could go down the way with Warhammer. There's all kinds of terrain and shit people build. Holy fuck!
Oh yeah, Tabletop Simulator is meaty. There's
I'm talking about. I'm looking at physical.
Oh,
like physical tables people have built. Holy shit!
Oh yeah,
that looks like fun. Was it the game published by Mattel?
No, it was published a while back. It's on the second edition, so if you're going to get into it now, Gaslands Refueled is the way to go.
Okay.
It's the newer, updated book.
Now, Matchbox and Hot Wheels are the same scale, yeah?
They're the same scale. It's about 164.
Okay, cool.
And
Corgi is completely different.
People go nuts with modding. Like, I'm part of the community on Facebook. They have monthly contests.
Oh, like strap guns on
the contests are for pink slips. So everybody gets, they set the parameters for the contest. You enter your car, and the winner gets to pick 3 of the entered cars as their prize.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
And if you're the last place, you have to physically destroy your car and send the group a video of it.
Whoa.
That's awesome.
Which is, I guess, a good reason not to use vintage cars.
No, yeah, you don't. If you're gonna cut these up, you're gonna glue shit to them. You go to the dollar store.
Holy shit. That sounds like so much fun.
But a lot of people now, Micro Machines is back. Like, they started making them again, so they've scaled it even further down to use Micro Machines.
I remember when I was a kid, Corgi, which I think was a British company, used to make like the Aston Martin, the James Bond Aston Martin replica, and a bunch of other sort of cars, a couple other cars. They were much bigger. They were probably 6 or 7 inches long, but because they were so big, the doors would open, the ejector seat would fly out, and those were a lot of fun. I remember those being a real big deal when I was a kid. Sort of somewhere between Hot Wheels and Corgi car.
That looks like
so you'd have to scale up because it's bigger.
That would actually be pretty fun to scale it up and play it like on a 10 by 10 board.
Oh yeah. You know what game I want to play online? Diplomacy. I'm trying to figure out how would you do negotiation though?
Could you like set up our private chat thing?
I mean, yeah, you'd do it by text, I suppose. But it'd be nice if you could actually. It'd be nice if there were like rooms within Zoom.
Zoom can do that. You can break out rooms.
Oh, you can? Oh shit! Well, there you go.
Yeah, my wife, who's a teacher, does it all the time for her teacher meetings.
Really?
They break out into smaller rooms, and then the host can call them all back into the main room.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I don't know how to do it, but it can be done.
Again, this is a pretty powerful program, and we're only using it just to talk to each other. There's all these other options available that we just don't even know how to use.
Really? I'm gonna have to dig into that because that would be the perfect solution.
I think Ingy did a tutorial. It's online somewhere.
All right.
I don't know if that was we answered a question. It's not really a question to answer.
It was a well actually.
So, hey, I totally laud anybody doing miniatures online. That's actually really cool, and I can see how like a BattleTech and stuff, because once the miniature has been assigned all the stats and everything, it's all there. You don't have to look it all up. Every time you click on it, I think it all comes up. So I can see how it would really streamline playing something like BattleTech. I did some miniature games as a kid, and it really left a sour taste in my mouth. I think I've told the story about the Battle of Midway. It was a giant map of the Pacific, and everybody had little boats with little chits on top of it, and you'd have to move your, like, going in your socks and move around your army and step back, and the other person would look at it. It just took forever and not fun for me.
We played in this. It was in the same basement where I first played D&D. We played Chainmail once, and he didn't have that many minis. He only probably had about 20, and we were divided into 3 squads, I guess, fire teams, and it was fun. I mean, I played Warhammer with my son a couple times, and it's fun. I enjoy it. It's just freaking expensive, and I hate painting them. I don't like painting them.
Well, it's just the main way to guarantee your kid never gets into drugs.
Right.
Got him on Warhammer. He will never have money for drugs.
Oh, they have so many. I went. They opened up a new gaming store here. Remember Game Empire?
Uh-huh.
Well, it shut down, and I think one of the guys who worked there bought it out, and it's now called Odyssey Games. And I went in there. They're still getting it ready. It opened like 2 weeks ago, and I went in there a couple days ago, and I bought it because Zachary wants to play a traditional war game. So the closest thing they had was like Axis and Allies, so I got that. But they're going to have such a nice open gaming room area when they're done.
Nice.
It's going to look fantastic. They've got some tables. Go ahead.
It was a big store. I remember that
It's huge.
Back 3/4 was basically set up for open gaming, and I always thought it was cool.
And there was always, there was always like Warhammer night, and there was Magic the Gathering night, and I think he had a D&D night, and the place was always packed. Always packed.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were buying anything, but the place was packed. So.
And it was set up pretty well too. There was an entrance and exit from the back parking lot through there, so you could get to the back half or the back 3/4 for open gaming without having to go through the store. It's a cool setup. It's a neat place.
It was. All
I
right.
had friends who owned a game store in Monterey, up near the Navy Defense Language Institute, and he started out with like a quarter of the store was Warhammer, and the rest was gaming books and things like that. But as he realized more and more, all the guys in the Navy with nothing but disposable income, all they wanted was 40K.
Yeah.
So slowly his store became more and more miniatures focused, because that's what they were buying, and that's the way that you get them in there. They spend the money, and then they play there. So it was more space devoted to open gaming tables for 40K, and more models, because it takes up a ton of space.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yep.
And
My boss at work, his kids are turning into nerds, I guess. In fact, so much so that he wanted to know what the name of the podcast was, so kids could watch and learn how to GM. But they started with Warhammer, and they loved it for a while. And just like Stu, they were like, "We haven't even painted all the miniatures yet. We can't even play it." And they were getting so frustrated with the amount of miniatures you have to get set up in order to play the freaking game that they moved on to D&D. So at some point, there's a critical mass where you're like, this just isn't worth it.
oh yeah, that's the best thing about D&D. Unless you're the GM, you only have to paint one miniature until he dies.
Right. Or you could just reuse your 40K ones and just paint it as a knight. Here you go.
Right, there
you got
you
a whole
go.
army of knights.
Except 40K doesn't work for 1-inch grids.
They're too big.
The scale is slightly larger.
They are. We got a lot of cool stuff though.
They did that on purpose, I'm sure.
They probably did.
All right, so what's the next one?
Kyra, hold on a second.
Oh, okay.
I just want to make. I finally got my physical copies of my book.
Oh, yeah?
Amandite and the Apprentice Mage. Oh, you got a copy! Excellent.
I got my copy.
Thank
I've already had one person say, "Hey, you should do a special podcast." And I said, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, call it Stu's Book Is Why Daddy Drinks."
I was going to say.
I said, "Is it that bad?" And the person was like, "Oh, I haven't read it yet. Just do it anyway."
Hey, no such thing as bad press.
It's dangerous, though, to have a bad review of your friend's book. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, I don't give.
Well, I was telling her,
Might be-
I'm hesitant to read it because what if Stu's a terrible writer?
It might be another 5 years before you're back on the podcast and you review the book.
Am I going to be like, oh no, yeah, I read your book, Stu. It was a book.
It had a lot of pages and some words in it.
There were words strung together in sentences.
Got to be polite.
No, it's fine.
It's only his first book.
I'm the idiot that put it out there. But there's 2 reviews on Amazon. Thank you to the 2 people who reviewed it. And the second book is written and it's being edited and proofread now. And I've started doing the narration for the audiobook for the first one. That's really hard. It's really hard. Trying to keep the characterizations straight for all the different characters and make sure you're using the same funny voice you used in the last chapter when the guy talks and that kind of stuff. And it's a lot of talking. And my voice gets tired after about an hour.
And just to keep the cadence going,
Oh,
and
yeah.
the flow going, it's really difficult.
Everyone knows how shitty I am reading out loud anyway, who listens to this show. So just imagine how much, because I'm obviously not going to release something that's like, and that. So I'm going through and it's like, fuck, I do that paragraph again. Until I get up to where I like it. So I'm reading some of those paragraphs 4 or 5 times before I'm happy with the recording I have of it. But I can get about.
I get it.
Go ahead.
No, I said I get it. I can totally see how that could be and you're going to be hypercritical. It's like, that's not at all the intent I had for that paragraph. I got to start again.
That's the other reason I'm not going to release the second book until I've recorded the audio version of it, because I'm finding not all, but many typos as I read through it aloud, which is very different than reading it silently. So yeah, so that I won't release the second one until I've recorded the audiobook version. But I may release the first one as a podcast. Like as a serialized podcast.
Just release it chapter by chapter?
Yeah.
Or
like a chapter a week, and if people don't want to wait a week to find out what happens in the next chapter, go buy the book.
That's a great idea.
So
It's a great idea. It's not like you don't have the tech.
right. It's a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be, and time consuming. Plus it's hotter than fuck, so I turned the air conditioner, the thermostat down to 65, and I let it run until the room is cold. Then I turn the AC off because obviously I don't want an air conditioner in the background when I'm recording an audiobook. And then I basically start reading until it gets to about 85 in the room, and then it's like, okay, I'm done. My voice is tired. It's been 2 or 3 chapters. I'm done. That's
actually a very common problem with voiceover artists. My next door neighbor does audiobooks for a living, but she used to do voiceover work, and she bought one of those little booths, that you could assemble, so 4x4. The exact same problem. She has to super cool the thing, go in and read as long as she can before it heats up too much, and then she comes out and cools the place off again.
No.
But yeah, and it happens in studios too, because we remember when we were recording our albums, we would be in that thing until it got too hot, we'd have to just come tumbling out and cool it up again.
The 8x8x8 box where we recorded a whole CD in that thing. This here, I mean, I have an air-conditioned pretty soundproof studio, but none of the recording equipment is in there.
No.
So I'd have to
I hope that studio never catches fire. Imagine the years of accumulated boggart farts just getting ignited.
Oh yeah, it would go up like a early space capsule.
And then Pasadena would never smell the same.
It's all soaked into the carpet. So anyway,
it's a stench of boggards.
all that stuff is coming, and you can go to stuvenable.com if you want to. I give updates there, and you can go on Amazon and search for my name, and you'll find it. It's there. There's more than one version. There's earlier versions when I didn't really realize what I was doing when I was designing the ebook and the physical book, but I got that sorted out, I think. So
You can't get rid of
It's a good way to find out who your real friends are because it's free. It's on Kindle Unlimited, so I could read this book for free. I was like, I want to support Stu in this endeavor, so I'm going to pay the $12 to buy this book.
Next time you see me, you can have him autograph it.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
I've been kind of on this kick lately. Anytime one of my friends puts out a book, I'm like, well, I'm doing pretty well now. I'll buy that. I just backed Chris Gray's Great American Witch.
right.
At the highest possible point. I just messaged Kazay and I was like, I don't have Spirit of 77 yet. Take my money. Just because I want to support people's creativity and writing and all that.
That's awesome.
I actually really like the Amazon as a publishing platform because they give you all the tools to like even design the physical book itself. There's a downloadable program that you can get from them for free that allows you to go through and do all the shit you need to do to it. I may end up like retypesetting and re-releasing Moment of Truth on there as well as a bound book, because I'd like to have bound versions.
You may not remember this, Stu, but it actually started out as a bookstore.
Yeah. Yes. But I mean, the print-on-demand stuff, it's great. I mean, the quality of the printed book is fantastic. I don't know if the words inside are any good, but physically,
Can you imagine they put your cover on somebody else's book?
We had a CD. Do you remember the CD that they did that to us?
Yes.
I'll tell the story very briefly, then we'll go on to the last email. We had a CD. I don't even remember which CD it was, but we used to use this place in Santa Ana that would reproduce the CDs for us, and they'd go and have all the CDs pressed. And then they'd print. They do. I think they silkscreen the CD itself. I think it's silkscreen, but I'm not sure. But it's that thick ink they put on there, and then they package it and they do all that stuff. Well, apparently at some point they had a spool, because the CDs come in these spools of like 100, I think, and they must have dropped 2 spools. One of ours and one from what kind of band was that? It was like a doo-wop group, wasn't it?
I don't know.
I think it was a doo-wop group.
I thought it was Mexican.
No, it was
mariachi
doo-wop.
or mariachi or something.
I think it was doo-wop because, and they spilled 2 of them, and then they just kind of picked them up and stacked them up as best they could. They obviously weren't printed yet. That must have been the next step, because this doo-wop group CDs got printed with our artwork
and put into our packaging.
Put into our packaging, and then we sold them, and then people at fair would come back the next weekend and says, "Well, I really enjoyed this doo-wop band, but can I have your CD?" And the thing that terrifies me, or horrifies me, I guess.
The bloggers are going in a weird direction.
Right. Well, the thing that horrifies me is here's this squeaky clean toothpaste commercial doo-wop group putting out a Boggart CD, not realizing it, with songs about fucking. Somewhere there's some disgruntled, family like, oh my God! That's the best
lunging
part.
for the car stereo to turn it down.
Our fans were just confused. Their fans are going to be mortified. I love it.
I'd heard an interview with some musicians once that somebody knocked their gold record off the wall. You already know where this is going, and they were like, "Well, I wonder what this sounds like." So they put it in. It wasn't even their album. It was just some album they like gold plated and put the label on. Here's your gold album, Mr. McCartney, and
no shit.
Yeah, I'd heard that.
That's hilarious.
The gold albums in those placards, they give it to you sealed already. It's already mounted and sealed. Like, here's your gold album. They don't like hand you a gold album and you go out and deal with it. It's all the placard and everything. So it's just some album they find and they gold plate it and they stick it in there. So, and this. I always found that funny.
It's probably just leftover shit they have at the press place. Well, they're if they're gold plated, they've got to be on some kind of metal. It's not vinyl.
I'm assuming that they have a template that is an album, and they just print up all the gold albums or all whatever the same album is, or maybe they have a couple. But yeah, I just found that funny. They were listening to it going, "What is this?" And I don't know if it's a solid gold album. I don't think that they pretty much.
No, I doubt it.
I'm sure it's like gold leaf or.
It's probably aluminum, and they just electroplate it.
Yeah.
All right. Unique advantages of online gaming. Just another busy drone.
Just another busy drone. Hello, douchebags. I've been mulling something over for a while since all this pandemic stuff started happening. I had discussed it with personal friends, but it occurs to me I never got the opinions of my most favorite RPG gurus on it. Thus, an email is in order to correct that. With the world going through what is, so many of us have been relegated to playing games online, when it has, up until this point, been a popular but largely less frequent method of engaging in the hobby. Of course, this comes with its own myriad of difficulties, as does any group call or a similar situation. However, I would like to initially focus on the positive. I'd like to ask what you, as GMs and players, think online gaming allows you to do easier, more readily, or perhaps more interestingly than meat space gaming. Things such as background music, custom player icons, etc. The list is enormous, and while running through it would be fine, I'm more specifically interested in which of these things you find most effective and entertaining, and why. Keep being awesome, keep being safe, folks. Hugs and hand sanitizer from Delaware. Just another busy drone. P.S. As a lightning round question, what's everyone's opinion of the worst system to run online, and why is the answer anything FFG?
Well, to answer the email, just rewind like 30 minutes.
Yeah, right. We led with that, I guess. I don't mind the online gaming thing, and in some ways it is kind of nice because lately I've been gaming with Stu. Well, that's really all I've been doing, and he only lives a mile from me, but other people live, Orange County or whatever, and it's a pain in the ass.
Oh, yeah.
To get up there, to get there in time, and there's sometimes when it's like, I don't want to. It's a lot of work, so I find it really easy. Like, I got a game in about 20 minutes. I guess I should go up and plug my computer in and sit down, and you're ready to go. So, and that's a real positive thing. In many ways, it's sort of there's none of that fatigue of having to drive and pretend you were happy to see everybody.
You know what though? I'm gonna be the dick of this conversation. Okay. The downside of that is because it's on the internet. Some part of our brain doesn't actually think it's real. We think it's just a screen. This is TV. It's not actually happening. So I think now I don't think we've had this much of a problem, but in the past when I've run online games, it's much easier to sort of flake if it's online, even though you're already where you need to be. You just need to go to another room, or maybe even just switch screens on your computer. But it is easier to flake. So go ahead. Give me your next positive, and I'll shoot it down.
No, that's fine. It's supposed to be a discourse here. One of the benefits of being in real space with somebody is I think the role playing gets a lot more personal and intense. Again, there's a disconnect on screen. I think you were sort of alluding to, like you're just looking at it on screen, and it's really hard to sort of get into the game and get into the character. I just feel like I'm more removed from the action.
It's so much easier to get distracted too, because all you got to do is open up another window, and if you keep your camera facing you, you can look like you're super interested in whatever's going on while you're looking at Reddit or something.
What is that? I gotta look at that.
Oh, hold on. Sorry.
It's a thing on the internet. Don't. You're not gonna. You're not gonna find it.
Well, and that not for the GM. I have found that maybe it's because we're also streaming, so I have 2 screens in front of me, sometimes 3, and it's like I go, is the stream okay? I'm like checking the chat room, and here's my notes, and people are talking. So for me as a GM, it's not. It would be hard to be distracted. I have been, rarely, but I could see for players, especially if you're not in the middle of the scene, and your character isn't there and wouldn't know what's happening anyway, I could see it be very, very easy to tune out.
Here's the thing, though.
At least temporarily.
You're always on. The camera's always looking at you. So if I'm drifting away or whatever and somewhere else, everyone can see that. Whereas if you're at the table and you're sketching or drawing, you're at least physically there and you can look up and you can check it out. But here, if I'm looking over here for 20 minutes, it's really distracting for everybody else, and you can just zero right in on you. So it's like you're always on camera, and you can get immediately busted for bad behavior.
You know what? Erica Odd brought up a plus side of online gaming. It is easier to cancel. You can cancel at the last minute, and no one has wasted a quarter tank of gas. Yeah. That's true.
That does suck.
But then
I will say
again,
one downside to online gaming for me is my group used to play at a bar. We played at the Duke in Cupertino.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we'd all have food and drinks and things like that, and it wasn't a big deal. When I play online with people, I have headphones, and their microphones are connected directly to my ears, so when those sons of bitches eat, I have to hear it. Like, I have to tell my players, like, you cannot eat while we play, or I will drive to your house and murder you. That just drives me nuts.
Is that a total pet peeve of yours? Is the smacking, crunching of food?
You're one of those misophonia people?
Yeah. And it has gotten so much worse since March.
Oh, I bet.
Like I'm part of a theater group, and when we have our meetings online, our director knows. He's like if you're going to start eating, I have to mute you so Tyler doesn't get sick.
You're doing a theater group? What are you doing?
We do kind of like variety shows. We've done 2 so far. We have another one starting this weekend. It's called Live at the Forsaken Olive through Workshop 44. It's on Facebook everywhere. But like we did one that was all about kids and things like that. So my wife wrote a sketch about distance learning. We had a bunch of our friends play kindergartners. And then for
that
this
sounds
one,
awesome.
we did, it's the space. This week is a space theme, and it's like the adult theme. So we did a reality show, and the main character is based off of Jose from Fair.
Oh, really?
So a lot of the things that happen to him, if you watch, you've heard his stories.
That's funny.
Jose is a larger than life person too. It's like if you were trying to act like Jose, everybody would think you were overacting. But he's like,
we tried to get him for it, but he's like I got so much going on, he couldn't do it. But
Does he
That
game?
would be-
Does he
next
game?
time.
Does Jose game?
yeah,
Oh, he does. Because now that we're online,
see,
mm-hmm.
and I'm bet that I just remembered. I'm like, oh, everything is online. I could be on the show again. Like I just thought of this like a week ago.
Edibles, man, edibles.
right. Now, one of the positives, and this isn't a positive for me. Well, it is kind of a positive for me, but it's been a positive for our listeners since we stream and we podcast the games out. Side conversations, almost impossible to have.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't if 2 people are talking to each other and 2 other people start talking to each other in the same Zoom meeting,
Right.
no one can understand anything, and they all stop. Which was one of the reasons I always wanted people, when they were sitting at the table here, to wear headphones, because then they're listening to what the feed is that's going out. And if multiple conversations start at the same time, no one can understand what's going on, and they all stop. But now it forces them to do that. So that's
Yeah,
one
now
of
the only way to do it would be chat, like text.
right, or that room thing. If I can figure out that room thing. Now I wonder if that's. I don't see that function. I wonder if that's maybe. Is there an educational version of Zoom?
I don't know. I'll ask and I'll let you know.
I would love to know that, because that would make it so easy to play a diplomacy game. I would love to play diplomacy. Just put a camera down on the map. That'd be so much fun.
and you go off to the side. We're in the room where it happens. The room where it happens. The room where it happens. It's diplomacy.
It's the best way to lose friends. That should be their
What?
tagline on the
With
box.
singing Hamilton?
No, playing diplomacy.
It is a rough game.
the
I
best way
mean,
to lose.
yeah, you pretty much make alliances and then betray you.
That should be the tagline on the box. Diplomacy, the best way to lose friends.
Yeah, I think I played it once, and then we all decided or at least I said, I can't play this. I want to keep you as friends. It really was. I mean, we were like,
You fucking lied right to my
right
face.
to my face. We're friends. Yeah.
Oh,
Back
Erica mentioned,
before Shelter in Place, we played a lot of Secret Hitler.
what's Secret
Same
Hitler?
kind of thing. Secret Hitler, it's great. You split the group into fascists and liberals, and it's like a secret. You don't know who else is a fascist or who's a liberal. You know your team, and then one of the fascists is Hitler, and they have to pass fascist like laws and things like that, and you have to figure out who Hitler is, and then certain people get certain abilities. It's kind of like Who's the Werewolf, or Werewolf, but it's Secret Hitler. And it's an incredibly fun game, if not somewhat problematic now.
Well, yeah.
Now, I mean, yeah.
Well,
So
there was
I don't know. Did we answer the question?
Do you have any more upsides that you can think of for online gaming?
I think it's better for sharing notes and things like that.
Yes.
Because in Roll20, I can just be like, here's a journal page, it pops up, I can send it to all the players. They can have it wherever they want on their screen, things like that.
I use Slack for that.
Super easy to look at people's character sheets,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
things like that as a GM.
I mean, I'd use Slack
it's
to send out, like, okay, here's the synopsis of this guy's, journals that you looked through last week. Whoop, it's all there. Look at it at your leisure. And then that one character, the player, kind of checks out for 15 minutes while they read it, and then comes back and says, "Hey, I discovered something interesting." So, but yeah, that is. I mean, although I gotta say, I'm gonna be the dick that I don't get to make the cool physical props. I don't get to make
Yeah.
the newspapers and shit.
Well, I was going to
Just have
say,
mail it to people a week before the game.
right?
Oh, that would
Well,
be so fun. That would totally fix that. That would totally fix it. I would totally do that too.
And you did make like an online newspaper with hyperlinks and stuff in it too, so that we were able to look at.
Yeah,
Not quite the same.
No.
It's not like Stu handing you a bloody note.
Right.
Well, L5R game.
But I was going to say too, it's like if we ever did master Roll20 or whatever, you can make little movie clips and audio files, and you can make physical handouts that they can then print out. If once you share it to screen, screen grab or whatever, even send it to each one of the people so they can print them out.
File, say print out everything in this folder.
Right.
Oh, I could make a little like 1920s like Nickelodeon movie with like all scratchy and black and white that's all flickery and shit.
Yeah.
And corny with like piano music in the background.
Right. And if somebody finds a file, you can drag and drop it right there on the screen for everybody to look at. And then even share it with them, and then they can just print it out if they're all sitting at home.
I can use this as my background.
What you need to do, Stu, is get everybody in your game to give you like network access to their printers. So when you want to hand out a newspaper, you're like, all right, just click a print, and it sends it to everybody's printer.
That's pretty cool, actually.
That is. Oh, you got a telegram.
And I'm sure Roll20 has a whole share thing like that, like for folders and stuff. That
every GM has a journal with all your resources in it, and then it'll pop up, and you can click share with players.
Right, so you can make like an ancient-looking scroll and then share it with whatever player finds it, and then they have it with their stuff and click on it, and they can look at it. So you can still make stuff; it's just maybe digital.
That's true.
I'm sorry, Tyler. I walked all over you. What were you going to say?
No, I'm running another third-party adventure, Odyssey: The Dragon Lords. It's from guys from BioWare wrote it, and it's a great adventure. And somebody put it all into Roll20. So
That's
like $30, I got it on Roll20, and it has all the handouts and things, so I can just click share with players rather than having to print anything out. We'll pass around a book. It's super nice.
That's fantastic. That's awesome.
So, I mean, I think everything is sort of available. I would see that if I were to master Roll20, that it would probably really greatly increase my organization, because everything is all right there, and I wouldn't be, oh wait, I got a map here somewhere, and pull stuff around it. No, that's not it. It would just be, bing, there it goes. So I could see that it would help a lot, I think, in streamlining maybe a game. What, Stu?
I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that the desktop on your computer is a fucking mess.
Oh, yeah.
And your folder in Roll20 is going to be just the same. It's going to be a whole bunch of files vaguely named. One of them is the right one, I know.
Digital doesn't fix chaos, it's true.
All right.
I mean, I'll say for online gaming, it's let me game with people that I wouldn't have been able to otherwise.
That's absolutely.
I played a lot of games with Kazay, running them. I was able to play games with Mac and with Bill, who's up in Washington now, and new people that I had never played with. Like I finally got to play a game with Joey.
Oh, okay.
We played, and Dave ran Spirit of the Seventh Realm. It's his fantasy skin for Spirit of 77. Mm-hmm. And it was so much fun, and Joey's awesome, and I want to play with him.
Oh, yeah. Joey's a great player. He's a great player. Erica Odd says that on Roll20, if you get the Call of Cthulhu package, the rule book comes with it. That's pretty fantastic.
Tyler's going to spend all of his hard-earned cash now on Hot Wheels and Roll20 mods.
I'm stoked about what is that? What is Gaslands?
Gaslands Refueled.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to get that shit. Zachary and I'm going to start playing that on the floor.
It's super fun, and it's ridiculous.
We'll use his room.
There's a group on Facebook that someone, Hot Wheels, or Mattel has made Mario Kart Hot Wheels. So someone wrote a skin of the rules for playing Mario Kart. Like play physical Mario Kart.
Genius.
Yeah.
That sounds like
it's a lot of fun, and I'm gonna start running it online again soon.
Cool. Fantastic. Do you stream those? You should stream those. You should Twitch that shit.
I should.
You should.
Yeah,
Absolutely
more
should.
Stuff.
More content.
See, I would. That's why I want to do a diplomacy game and stream it. And if you could have rooms and pick which rooms got streamed out, that'd be so. You could have different negotiations, but you just got to make sure no one's peeking, because that's part of the game.
Try to make sure no one's
very cool.
Oh, that maybe you let them do that. They're spying. All right. Well, that's it. Thank you, just another busy drone. I appreciate the email. Anything else?
Yep.
Anything else you guys got?
Where can we find your theater stuff there, Tyler?
We're on Facebook. The group that's doing the shows is called Live at the Forsaken Olive or Workshop 44. I don't know that we have a separate website.
And I mean, what's your elevator pitch? It's like sketch comedy stuff? You said variety show?
Some of it is sketch comedy. Some of it's musical performance. It's a theater group. We've done puffs. We, as a group, when we were doing live shows, we've done puffs. We did Romeo and Juliet, but it was like a post-apocalyptic setting. It was super fun. I played the friar, and I was like the Big Lebowski. And it's gotten me into like prop making, like a ridiculous amount of prop making. What are we working on? We're working on an Alice in Wonderland type thing, where it's going to be episodic. We're working on a version set in the same post-apocalyptic future as Romeo and Juliet of Lear. We're doing a lot of stuff. Workshop 44.
Very cool.
We're on Facebook.
I never really thought of you as a theater person. That's a really cool endeavor. Yeah.
You met me at fair when I was in a performing group.
Yeah, but
That's
you
why
only
he doesn't
did
think
it
you're
for
a
like
performer.
you only did it for like a year, and then the rest of your real world pursuits.
I was in that group for like 4 or 5 years.
Were you? Okay.
Which group
maybe
was
even
that?
longer. I don't remember.
Which group was that? Mariners?
Bells.
Oh, that's right.
I started in Mariners. I was in Mariners for a year and a half, and then Bells were like somebody couldn't make it for a season, and I was like, oh, if you need someone to fill in, and Kate was like, just fucking audition, join the group, and then I did for a while, and then stopped fair, moved up here, and started doing fair again when Dre called my wife and I, and she was like, I'm doing this show, I need you guys to both be in it, and that was up at that was Carnevale Fantastico, the Italian Renaissance fair.
Mm-hmm.
It happened up in Vallejo. So we did Comedy of Errors, and it was probably one of the best shows I've ever done, but we only got to do it for a weekend because it was a one-weekend fair.
Oh.
Did you do it this straight play, or was it like a funny adaptation?
Well, I mean, Comedy of Errors is a pretty funny show to begin with, but we had to cut it down to half an hour.
Yeah, it's like a 3-hour show, yeah.
And then we went and started working at Northern again, and for some reason they put us on main stage. So I've been on main stage for the last 2 years at fair. 3 years.
That's cool.
Awesome.
I didn't know you were doing fair again. That's awesome.
Well, not this year.
No one's doing fair this year except in Texas. They're doing Texas fair apparently. At least they were going to. I don't know if that actually ended up.
We'll see how it goes.
At least the plague will be realistic.
Oh, get makeup and little black boils all over yourself.
It's like everybody who works there is just going to be dressed as a plague doctor with the big bird masks and everything. It's like, it's like, which one's the queen? Oh, she's got the fancy bird mask.
She's got the fancy bird mask, and those things are just stuffed with N95 filters.
Right? She's the one that doesn't have shit all over her.
Right.
All right. I'm going to play it out then. Thank you for joining us for season 27, episode 7 of Happy Jack's RPG Podcast. My name is Stu.
I'm Tyler.
I'm Stork.
And we'll see you next week, 7 p.m. Pacific Time, happyjacks.org/live. Until then, stay safe, and we'll see you in a week. Bye-bye.
Stay classy.
It's a hobby from Michigan to Australia and maybe East Timor. Be it rare or exalted, girls or dungeons and dragons, hero, pathfinder, fate or savage lands. Evil loves will be usurping, though we could do with less burping. Happy Jack's podcast will be douchebag
Why problem make when you no problem have you don't want to make?
The preceding program has been a presentation of the Angry Folk Media Empire.